Welcome to the Autistic Culture Podcast, where we celebrate autistic contributions to society and culture.
Join us every Tuesday as we dive into everything from famous autistics in history to the pop culture, unique passions, and the special interests that define our community.
Whether you're autistic or love someone who is, welcome to Autistica. We're your hosts, Dr. Angela Kingdon, the linguistic autistic,
and Matt Lowry, licensed psychological practitioner. Join us as we explore the values, traditions, and identity of Autistica. Episode 91, Krampus is Autistic. Hey, Angela.
Hey, Matt. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
'Tis the season.
It is.
Yeah, 2024 has been a rough one. So what we've both had to move. You've had to deal with the astounding issues of transporting enormous geodes. I had to move. Got to move, I guess. But also had to deal with a kidney stone. Yeah, I had to deal with a kidney stone and I got my appendix out. And now there's something wrong with my eye, and I've got to get an eye doctor to look at that. And had a breakup, and that thing where people voted, man.
Yeah, we can't even talk about the thing where people voted, but that was nice having a country. So that's gone. So, you don't even know. I also was almost killed by Campylobacter.
Campylobacter. What are those words?
It's salmonella on speed. I got the worst food poisoning you can possibly imagine, and I was sure I was going to die. That happened this year, which was fun. And on my last day in the U.S., I was being very efficient. I went to a doctor's appointment to get I went to my doctor to get all my files to bring. And then she asked me a bunch of questions. And then she was like, I just want to double check and make sure you don't have brain cancer. Can I sneak you in for an MRI today? Which I don't know if you've ever experienced.
That's very casual.
MRI.
What?
MRIs are not for, I don't know if we talked about this. MRIs are not for autistic people. They're bad places. It's very bad.
It's a tube with flashing lights and whirring.
Oh no. Clack. So loud. Clack, clack, clack. I've never heard sounds so loud in my life. It's very unpleasant. I don't know how I did it because the woman I was having a total meltdown, and the woman's like, look, there are people behind you, and if you can't do this, then I need to get somebody else in this room who can. It's like, okay, but she thinks I have brain cancer, and if I don't do it, there could be a really long wait in England. She's like, well, then lay down and just do it. It was so bad. And then I got the results back, and they're like, good news, you don't have brain cancer. So that was good. Bad news, you have, I did tell you this. I know I did. You have something called gliosis.
Yes.
And then I was like, well, I don't know what that is. And then I Googled it, and I think it just means you're autistic. I'm pretty sure. I haven't gotten to the bottom of it, but yes, this was definitely ranked very high in the horrible year Annus Horribilis category, I believe, as the Queen once called 1992.
So yeah, because of all that and more, I'm not. We already covered Grinch. We already covered the Grinch. Living up on Mount Crumpet. Because again, this year does not feel like Christmas to me. Still haven't found the Christmas tree because the movers just packed literally everything I own into a single room, regardless of the labeling on the boxes.
And then stacked it ceiling to floor.
Yeah, I'm still working on getting things unstacked so I can find. Still haven't found my silverware. Been here a month, don't know where my silverware is. Oh. So I'm feeling a degree beyond Grinch. So we're going to go straight up Krampus this year.
We're amping it up to the shadow Santa.
Krampus to Krampus. And so
I need to.
You've never heard of Krampus
here. I was going to say I need to admit here. I've got kids it's been a lot of years I've been focused on more of the Charlie Brown Christmas special. I did not
Oh,
know
my.
there was a dark side to Christmas. This
Oh,
escaped
yeah.
me. And when you suggested this topic, I accidentally Googled it.
Accidentally,
And
yeah.
nightmares have begun. You're going to have to take me back, walk me through this. Dear listener, if you do not know about the dark side of Christmas, brace yourself. If you're listening to this today, it drops, it's Christmas Eve. If you're ready for a dark one and don't want to hear about Christmas cheer, this is the episode. If you want to go back and listen to Happy Christmas Days, go to episode 49. It's waiting for you.
We'll also cover Belschnickel, which was played by Dwight Schrute on The Office, because they're very, very similar thematically. So
I believe you have a whole collection of dark Christmas surprises for us.
I do. We've got a lot to talk about. So Krampus has been around for centuries, right? It's believed that Krampus comes from like pre-Christian tradition, and you see in German areas, Bavaria, Austria, December 6th is the feast of Saint Nicholas, right?
Oh, okay.
And that Saint Nicholas comes around, gives little presents to good kids. But December 5th, on the other hand, is Krampusnacht.
And so it's basically Christmas Eve. It's when the kids put their shoes out and wait for St. Nicholas to show up with the chocolates and the oranges and the walnuts?
Well, if by waiting you mean waiting in terror, and by walnuts you mean savage beatings with birch sticks, and by St. Nicholas you mean a legion of demons storming through the town, then yes, absolutely.
Oh, nailed it.
Yeah. So Krampusnacht. Krampus has been around again for centuries, waxing and waning in popularity over the years, but especially in the recent few decades, there's been a resurgence in Krampus awareness. And these days, you can check out. A long time ago, I used to do therapy with kids in the schools, and I'd say, "What's Santa bringing you?" And they'd say, in the middle school, they'd say, "I'm too old for Santa. I don't believe in Santa anymore." And I'd say, "Oh, so you're afraid of Krampus then?" And they're like, "What?" And I would show them a video of Krampuslauf, because Krampusnacht is Krampus night. December 5th is Krampus night, when the Krampuses reign over the earth. Krampuslauf is a Krampus run, where it's sort of like a parade, where St. Nicholas comes down, accompanied by 40 or 50 demons who run into the crowd and breathe fire and beat children with birch sticks, and remind the children.
I was like, do they look like the QAnon shaman? Is that what we're going for?
We're going for gigantic horns and yak fur and large teeth and an extremely long tongue and cloved hooves. Your basic depiction of like Baphomet. So the Krampuses are incredibly scary.
I see. It is half goat, half demon monster.
Yes.
Eek.
Or half demon, half goat monster, whichever you prefer.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Half demon, half goat, half monster.
A lot of people have decided they have red eyes, which I find nice.
Well, you're not going to have big blue eyes for a monster. I mean...
No, okay. Krampus is usually featured as a man with horns.
Usually, but we'll get there.
One grotesque human foot.
Yeah.
And 1 foot of a goat covered in black hair with a very long snake or dragon-like tongue.
Yep.
These do not feel like visions of sugar plums.
Oh, well, yeah. And that's the thing about it, because, the Germans... So the Germans, and
it's got sort of S&M nightclub kind of feel to some.
In the 40s, that's when Krampus cards were very, very popular, and that's where they had Christmas cards with Krampus on them, and sometimes Krampus was depicted as a sexy lady with a very long tongue, and Krampus's whole thing is that he carries a big sack on his back, right? And the good children, St. Nicholas will give presents to. The bad children he'll beat with bird sticks, shove into a sack, and drag off to the hinterlands. And Lady
Wait,
Krampus.
Is this like Santa Claus's sack? Does it come from like?
Yeah.
So Santa Claus's sack could be filled with beaten children.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And, and St. Nicholas doesn't do the dirty work himself, of course.
Obviously.
So St. Nicholas's companion, Krampus, takes, because they don't deal with coal in Austria and Bavaria and, the hinterlands. They just drag you off to hell.
Right.
So
yes, we've turned this into bad kids get cold, but really it was bad kids get beaten and dragged to the fiery pits of hell, where there might be some remaining charred embers, which is why it's coal. Because it's
we'll
from
go with
hell.
that. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but sure, yeah, that works.
Stark. Okay.
Yeah, but again, a sexy Krampus, because if I got you to look that up, and we still haven't cleaned your eyes.
No.
That's where a sexy Krampus lady with a long tongue gets bad men, shoves them into her sack, and drags them off for spankings.
Some people might be into that, and I'm going to tell you, if you are not, you want to turn on safe search before you look up sexy Lady Krampus. What's she called? Lady Krampus? Mrs. Claus? Mrs. Krampus?
Well, more Mrs. Claus, Claws. But yeah.
Okay, there you go. Ahead.
Yeah. So Krampus has been around for some time, and again, there's variations. Like Belschnickel could potentially be, not necessarily an ancestor, but an offshoot of the same belief, because Belschnickel has, Black Pierre and as his own little assistant. But Belschnickel also has the beatings with birch sticks. Also a companion of St. Nicholas. Belschnickel doesn't come around with St. Nicholas, but it's the same thing of the Eastern European countries were like, yeah, we don't really tolerate that bad kid stuff. We're just going to give beatings.
Yeah. So, and they, I don't know if they still do it, but on at least like in the 80s and 90s or whatever, on these bull runs, whatever, these Krampus night, people were actually like, they would bring whips and they would beat people.
Yes.
That was part of the fun. And then the hospitals would be filled with people with like lacerations and broken arms from running away from people beating them.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah. Whatever you think your Christmas traditions are a little off, remember, you could be beaten and run to the hospital because someone whipped you and beat you, because 'tis the season. Mm-hmm. But if you want to know more about Krampus, this is where we get into even more autistic territory, because a long time ago, I think, I can't remember the year it was now, but it was maybe at least 15 years ago. So we'll even rewind further. Michael Dougherty was the writer of X-Men 2, right? The X-Men United. A very, very, a movie that was very, very written towards the outcasts, including those of us who are neurodivergent and autistic. He really, really got into the mindset of, what it's like to be different, why we're different, that kind of stuff. And then he went on to write a little movie called Trick or Treat.
Okay.
And Trick or Treat is one of my favorite Halloween movies of all time, because, like Krampus, he realized that there was no gift giver for Halloween. There was no mythical creature associated solely with Halloween. I mean, we've got the Great Pumpkin, but even Linus struggles to acknowledge that the Great Pumpkin isn't canonically real. So he was like, what about Sam Hain, the variation of Samhain?
Samhain, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he decided, he created this little character, which is essentially a toddler in a burlap sack mask and PJs, that is the spirit of Halloween, Sam, right?
Okay.
And he made this star-studded movie, Trick or Treat, that is an interconnected series of stories, all of which kind of overlap on each other. which is very, very heavily autistic. And I won't get into a lot of detail on it because if you're into horror comedy, if you're into autistic coded stuff, this is like the ultimate autistic Halloween movie.
Okay.
Because not only is there a lot of masking involved, Anna Paquin stars in the movie.
Ooh, okay.
There's she has to confront a lot of masking because she's out with her friends to a Halloween party. This is her first time ever at a quote grown-up Halloween party, and she has to come to terms with a lot of her own beliefs, a lot of how she presents to the world, and some problem solving. And I won't go into a lot of detail because that's part of the fun. But one of the stories, and I'll give you a trigger warning because we're talking about a Halloween movie on a Christmas episode.
Yeah.
But it's about Krampus, and if you've covered Krampus, then we've got this. So this becomes the ultimate Halloween movie for autistic people because what is the scariest thing in the world to autistic people?
Chaos.
Well,
loud
absolutely.
sounds, surprises, hate a surprise, don't like changes of plans, don't like loud noises. What else?
Well, go 2 or 3 steps darker than that. What hurts us? Ableism and people who hate us for being autistic.
Yeah. People who would like to fix us, the puzzle people.
So one of these stories involves the cast of Dead Like Me, which we are going to cover.
We're going to do an episode. You promised us this episode
which
for
is,
like 2 years.
Again, Dead Like Me is a very autistic coded show. They've got 2 of the stars of Dead Like Me in this vignette. And it's about these kids who meet up with an autistic girl. And she's got the autistic accent.
Explicitly autistic?
Explicitly autistic. Okay. The main kids make fun of her, call her the R word, says that she's a savant, but she's got the autistic accent. Okay. She doesn't make eye contact. She carves 100 jack-o'-lanterns because Halloween is her day. She knows everything there is to know about Halloween. She info dumps about Halloween. And they bring her to the site of a bus crash. The bus crash was a short bus. And the bus crash was because the parents of autistic kids did not like their autistic kids and paid a bus driver to drive the kids off.
What?
Yeah.
Matt!
Yeah. It's incredibly dark. It is, but it turns out good because they are now ghosts out for revenge against the ableists. Okay. And the ghosts of the autistic kids protect this autistic girl, and this autistic girl befriends Sam, the spirit of Halloween. Because the autistic kids, and again, the autistic kids eventually get revenge upon the bus driver in Halloween fashion. But it is a very, very explicitly autistic Halloween movie. Mm-hmm. And I mention this because Michael Dougherty has been telling us that Trick or Treat 2 is coming for 15 years. Still has not come. But in the meantime, he did write a movie about Krampus.
Okay.
And Krampus stars Adam Scott, who you know as Ben Wyatt from Parks and Rec.
Oh, Ben! Oh, yeah. Okay.
And Toni Collette, and a family of weirdos. And let's see here. Who all else is in the movie? Because it's David Koechner. You know him from like The Office and all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. Allison Tolman, Conchata Farrell, MJ Anthony, Stephanie Levy Owen, Krista Stadler.
Is this a horror movie?
It is, again, in the vein of Trick or Treat, a horror comedy.
Okay, I was going to say, it sounds like a comedy, but I got it. Okay.
Again, starring Adam Scott and David Koechner and Toni Collette. You can't... It's essentially Little Miss Sunshine for, yeah. So anyway, it starts off with all of these incredibly dysfunctional people being put in a house together for Christmas, because that's the thing about Christmas. You get together with your incredibly dysfunctional family, talk about politics and terrible things, and you're forced to eat food that you don't like, and yay Christmas. But this boy is like, I wish my family was gone. He does the whole Home Alone thing, and like, I wish I didn't have a family. And Krampus hears him, and Krampus decides to grant his wish. So throughout the movie, it becomes a sort of Die Hard scenario. Also a Christmas movie. Argue about it in the comments, folks.
Yeah.
Okay. Where Krampus, dressed as Santa, in a very ghoulish sort of Santa mask, sends all these sort of Nightmare Before Christmas-esque toys after these horrible family members, picking them off one by one, and finally comes face to face with the kid, and the kid's like, I wish I didn't have all the people away, and he wishes on Krampus's bell for all this to go away, and then all of a sudden they wake up, and then everything is back to normal, and they're like, wait, did all that happen? Did it happen? And then you go off to see that either A, Krampus is still watching them to make sure they don't pull this stuff again, or they're trapped forever in a limbo of hell inside a snow globe inside Krampus's cave in the hinterlands. There's a comic that explains everything and explains the meaning behind it all. I have not read the comic, but when I watched it, I took it to mean that Krampus drug them off to the hinterlands because, as is the way of the Krampus. So it is not your traditional. It does have a lot of Christmas cheer in that you say, hey, could be a lot worse. It could be drug off to the hinterlands and all.
That's true. And look, some years you need to be able to say, well, I might be home alone and depressed this Christmas, but at least I'm not being dragged off, beaten with birch sticks, and taken to hell.
Yeah.
Even though it might feel that way sometimes.
Yeah. That's the thing, because again, Christmas with family can be rough. We covered a lot of the compensatory stuff on both our Thanksgiving episode and our previous Christmas episode, which you can link to below, above, however, wherever it is. Yeah. So I didn't want to repeat myself with a lot of that stuff, because we've already covered the Grinch and how the Grinch also lives in the hinterlands, has a lot of sensory issues. How Charlie Brown was written by an autistic man as an autistic kid at Christmas, trying to navigate the feelings of Christmas. The Garfield Christmas special, he just wants presents because, Garfield is just like that.
He wants presents and lasagna. I mean, come on, get your Garfield facts right.
Of course. Yeah. And, but there's a lot of other for the people who are not feeling the love and the joy, and people who are alone, there's a lot of other stuff that comes out of nowhere. There's a because I've already broached the topic of Die Hard, right? So that Home Alone is essentially a remake of Die Hard. Because it's because
I have heard the argument that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. It will be in like lists of what's your favorite Christmas movie, and Die Hard gets listed.
Yeah,
and because
Christmas ain't Christmas till Hans Gruber falls off the Nakatomi Plaza. So yeah.
It occurs on Christmas, but I do not.
It does.
I take umbrage with the idea it is a Christmas movie
because it doesn't specifically involve Christmas themes. And this is the thing about like Home Alone, because Home Alone takes place around Christmas, but it's not a specific Christmas theme related. Because, Kevin is at home, presumably, by himself, hence the name, fights off burglars at Christmas time. But again, like Home Alone, not specifically a Christmas movie. So if you want to rectify this, and have a movie that is both Home Alone and Die Hard and specifically a Christmas movie, there is a movie with David Harbour as Santa who loses the Christmas spirit and has to save Christmas. And it's called Violent Night. And
Violent Night.
Violent Night. David Harbour as Santa. The movie starts off with David Harbour as Santa. He's very disappointed because kids have gotten greedy. But this is the kind of thing that we should probably talk about after a commercial break, because it's very interesting, because you want to know way more about David Harbour's antics as an ex-Viking warrior who became Santa. But we'll tell you more about that after the break.
Have you been thinking about writing a book? Did you know Angela helps autistic people write books and get literary agents? Whether you want to write about your special interest, your autism journey, or your professional area of expertise, you can learn more about her work at angelakingdon.com. That's Angela, Kingdon, like November.com. She helped me write my book.
So Krampus and the darker side, and rectifying Home Alone and the Die Hard as Christmas movies, we come to David Harbour as Santa, right? So David Harbour is very disenfranchised with the world. He believes that there's no place in the modern world for Santa. He's ready to give it up until John Leguizamo decides to hold Beverly D'Angelo's family. Beverly D'Angelo, the mom from Christmas Vacation, is a rich, terrible woman, and she and her whole terrible family have gotten together for Christmas to be terrible together, right? It's Christmas Vacation all over. John Leguizamo is Hans Gruber. He comes in, he wants to take all of their money, and the kid in this scenario, very much like Kevin, says, "Santa, I really wish you would help me fight off these terrorists who are trying to take my rich family's money." And he's like, "Well, I don't like your family, but I will protect you, kid." So Santa has to come in and act like John McClane and fight off terrorists in very Home Alone-esque, increasingly cartoonish ways.
Okay.
And the backstory of Santa is that he was once a Viking warrior who had a battle hammer, who was like the biggest warrior of all. And for some reason or other that is not explored in this movie, maybe explored in a sequel, he was granted immortality under the condition that he spread Christmas cheer forever. Mm-hmm. And at some point, he and Mrs. Claus have broken up. You don't know where Mrs. Claus is. He really, he's alone. He feels bad. The reindeer are kind of down on him. He says, "Hey, reindeer, can you help me out?" They all run off, and he has to defend the family. And the kid does a lot of very much Home Alone antics to stop the terrorists. The broken ornaments, the glue, the climbing upstairs, bowling balls. Only, whereas Kevin's antics were like, "Oh, hey, boy, that looked like that would hurt." This movie, oh my, that hurt. So it's a step up from Home Alone, but in the end, they all believe in Santa. They all believe in Christmas cheer. Santa is healed, and Mrs. Claus sends Santa his battle hammer so that he can more effectively fight John Leguizamo. So if you want Die Hard and if you want Home Alone to explicitly be Christmas movies, it's got all of the fighting of terrorists / burglars with explicitly Christmas themes.
Okay, I see. What was the name of that movie again?
Violent Night.
Violent Night. I see your Violent Night, and I raise you Gremlins.
Gremlins! Ah, Gremlins.
Well,
yes,
don't you think that meets your criteria?
It very much does.
Essentially like
it is.
Home Alone, but with Gizmo.
Yeah. And in the original draft, Gizmo became Stripe, but Steven Spielberg was like, no, seriously, Bob Zemeckis, we really need a hero here. So let's just make a lot of other Gremlins be bad and Gizmo
a lot
be the good
of
one.
Gremlins.
Yeah, And so, yeah, it's and of course, and the scene where Phoebe Cates' character talks about her father getting stuck in the chimney, they were going to cut that out because they're like, is this sad? Is this funny? What is this? And they're like, no, you absolutely need to keep it was Joe Dante, not Robert Zemeckis. Joe Dante was like, yeah, you absolutely need to keep that because that's the theme of the movie. You don't know if it's funny. You don't know if it's scary. So
that is Gremlins. Like, I had nightmares, and yet I wanted to watch it again. Also, I believe I had Gizmo. I had a Gizmo.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, wasn't there a thing? They were super cute. It was a little like the Meep. I think they remind me of the Meep from the Doctor Who Christmas special from last year. Because the Gizmo is so cute. And then you, like, put him in the pool. Did they multiply in the pool? There was something they got wet, and then they made a lot of rules. Them.
Yeah, it's the 3 rules. Number 1, don't expose them to sunlight; they will die. Number 2, never get them wet. Number 3, never feed them after midnight, because if you expose
and that's
them to
when
sunlight,
they turned into the ugly Meep face when they ate
the gremlins. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because when they were eating the fried chicken, that is really, really disgusting. Because it's all like slimy and everything, and they get the cocoons and they turn into gremlins. So they start off good, and then you because again we follow the rules. We have rules. All of our rules are very structured, and then in theory you're like, well, the kid told me there are 3 rules. I should never break those rules. And Billy Peltzer, Zach Galligan, I want to say Zach Galifianakis, which would make a totally different movie.
That's a wrong movie.
But yeah, but that's the thing. He was like, no, there's 3 rules, and his friend was like, well, why don't we get him wet? Why don't we try that and see what happens?
No,
and the grim
fuck around and find out
exactly.
The theme of 2024.
Yeah, and it was very much that they played it was very much a Looney Tune in itself, which is why Chuck Jones appears in the movie. Chuck Jones appears as himself in what is it, River Falls? Kingston Falls. He appears as himself, and it turns out it was shot on the Back to the Future backlot. So
that actually makes sense.
It's the same location,
same neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
that. Yeah, I feel like there is this. I don't know why this is, but even Nightmare Before Christmas has this where you don't know what is it funny, is it scary, like what are we actually supposed to feel, and like what about A Christmas Carol?
Oh well, that's okay. So this even goes back to I have to rewind the entire song of so Victorian Christmases, a classic old school Victorian Christmas, involved telling scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. So ghost stories have been a part of Christmas since its inception.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, I mean, if you want to so if you want to get really, really old school on Christmas, right? So Christmas was originally the feast of Saturnalia, back in Roman times, where Saturnalia was the Saturn, and you had feasts and got drunk. And the feast of Dionysus, and Dionysus was this party god, and you got really, really ripping drunk around the winter solstice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the church was like, no, you can't do any of that. This is just highly irregular. So we're going to change Jesus's birthday to December 25th to sort of co-opt Saturnalia and the Feast of Dionysus and the whole Yuletide celebration, and we're just going to take over all that. But there were still Christmas. So this is why Puritans, when they came to the New World, banned Christmas celebrations. You were not able to celebrate Christmas in the New World because it was with the whole wassailing.
Yes.
Wassailing is going door to door, drunkenly demanding food and demanding drink, and otherwise you will beat up the rich people in the house and take all their stuff. And there's lots of Christmas songs. I'll link to some of them in the comments about how, for the longest time it was this time of pure and utter chaos, run by ghost stories and drunken revelry. And I think that this is where the overlap of the is it scary, is it funny, is it Christmas thing comes in. Because we as a culture, this whole holly jolly Christmas has only been around for like 50 years.
Yeah. And for our Christian friends there, and if you're a Bible expert, go ahead and fight me in the comments if you want. But I believe that there is evidence in the Bible based on the when the census was done in Bethlehem, in Jerusalem, whatever, in Israel, that
tending the sheep and everything, and
yes.
Definitely not in a winter context.
It was not winter. It was
No.
I think it was June, like based on the plants they mentioned and when the people would have been gathering for the census and when you would have had a star like that. All of those, which was like something hot summer night, basically.
Yeah,
and
not
so
December 25th.
They were like, hey, we're going to need something to get these heathens to chill the fuck out. Let's tell them it's Jesus's birthday. You got to celebrate it someday or another.
Yeah, co-opting all sorts of pagan holidays because pagans have the best holidays. God bless those pagans.
Right. And they're like, everyone's still going to celebrate because it's a, it's the way I already have a party, then let's just tell them, hey, you have to be good now because Jesus is watching.
Yeah, you could still have your Yule tree, but it's now a Jesus tree. You can still have your colorful lights, but it's now Jesus lights. You can have the star on your the tree, which is now the Christmas star, and all that stuff because there are a lot of traditions that this is the way that humans have been for millennia.
And the wassailing thing, my brother-in-law keeps trying to drag me in my neighborhood now in the West Country. So I live near Bristol, but it's known as kind of the West Country of England. Yeah. And wassailing is still a very big deal here.
Is it? Tell us about a wassailing.
Yeah, so it's been very popular since the Norman Conquest, so like 1,000 years and a bit, or something like that. And what I have been told, my brother-in-law has all these like weird events he wants to take me to. I say weird, let's go with English events. Like there's some cheese rolling. There's like a big hill and you roll the cheese down the hill. Apparently we will be going to that. And the wassailing thing, it's almost wassailing season now. It's related to, when people talk about Twelfth Night, there's that play and the 12 days of Christmas and all that. So it's like
with all the birds.
Yeah. And so they do these parades. And there are people banging pots and there's Morris dancers. And there's something about, I don't understand this, but I have been told you throw apples at each other. There's something about apple throwing because the apples have fallen off the tree and they're like rotting on the ground.
Well, that's the thing. The Christmas balls on Christmas tree were originally apples.
No.
Yeah.
That has to be the same thing because they were like falling and we're like, what are we going to do with this shit? Let's decorate a pine tree with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, pine trees don't have apples, but it's, that's where you put your apples. That's why we have those big red Christmas balls. They're apples.
They're apples? How did nobody tell me they're apples? You
Krampus
did.
Told
you
me.
Told me. Oh, did you learn it from Krampus?
Krampus tells you all kinds of stuff. You just have to.
Anyway,
have the spirit of Krampus within you.
So the reason we go, I am told the reason we go a wassailing, is we're basically going to get drunk, throw apples at each other, bang pots and pans. There's going to be dancing. And all of this is to frighten away the evil spirits. Mm-hmm. So that we have a good apple harvest next year. Because now the apples are dying and like everybody drinks cider. There's a whole thing where we live of like Thatcher's cider. If you ever have that, that's where I'm from. There's Thatcher's everywhere. Everybody makes cider and we have to there's so many things we use the apples for. We have to have like a good harvest next year, but these dead apples could like rot and I don't know, poison the apple trees. So instead we like scare away the evil spirits so that the apple trees grow and give us more apples next year, I believe is why we go a wassailing.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because you with Nightmare Before Christmas, with all this stuff. So this is the thing. I did we talk about the various versions of Christmas Carol last time?
No, I think we were about to. Should we do a break?
Let's do a break. Let's do a break because I am going to tell you my 3 favorite versions of A Christmas Carol, because Charles Dickens is a dick. But we'll come back to that in just a bit after these messages. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to the Autistic Culture Podcast. I practice in Kentucky, and you can get a psychological evaluation or therapy with me if you live in Kentucky, or a consult with me from anywhere in the world, because it's a non-clinical service. Just contact me at www.mattlowrylpp.com. MATTLOWRYLPP, as in licensed psychological practitioner.com.
And you can find out more about writing your book with me at angelakingdon.com.
This is the way.
So speaking of the dark,
I was just going to say, like, before the break, we said we were going to talk about A Christmas Carol. I don't want you to lose your way. Tell us.
Yes.
Regale us with that Christmas Carol.
Again, A Christmas Carol was written by Charles Dickens, who was a total dick to Hans Christian Andersen. See our Hans Christian Andersen is Autistic episode.
Oh, yeah. I'll link that in the show notes.
But my 3 favorite versions of A Christmas Carol in absolute order. Number 1, Muppet Christmas Carol. Because Gonzo as Charles Dickens is magnificent. It is absolutely true to the story. Michael Caine is an acting god. He is wonderful. He emotes. Michael Caine once said, the key to getting the audience involved is to be a man who is struggling to not cry. Because if he's holding his tears in, the audience will cry for him. Because you're like, oh, Michael Caine, we feel your pain. And Michael Caine's eyes, man, he goes from absolute contempt with Bunsen and Beaker to delight with Kermit to feeling super sad when he sees Belle. And, it's that man, he can invoke some emotion in you. And, is the absolute greatest version of Christmas Carol. Followed closely by the Doctor Who version, the Matt Smith version. And again, that's why I bring this up here, because we've been talking about all these really dark Christmas movies. But the tagline for the Christmas episode of Doctor Who is halfway out of the dark. And that's the thing about, Christmas. Christmas happens during the winter solstice, during the longest, darkest nights of the year, when all hope seems lost, all the crops are dead, the world is incredibly cold and unforgiving, and if you go outside, you might die. You might legit die. And this is a time of year where traditionally a lot of people died due to starvation or cold or being exposed or eaten by wolves or, whatever. It was traditionally a very metaphorically, literally, physically, a very dark time. And Christmas is all about fighting the darkness with light. Everything about it is finding light in the dark. We put up lights. We go see Christmas lights in the dark. We sing carols. We fight off the dark spirits. We confront our mortality. So we absolutely need the darker side of Christmas to balance it out, because this is how the world works. It is the darkest time of the year. And
we are nailing that in 2024. We got darkness down. We got it. We're doing it.
Yeah.
When do we get the other side?
we need to know that we will survive. And that's why, again, Charlie Brown nails it with the Christmas dysphoria and dysthymia. There's a lot of Hallmark movies where, women move to small towns for Christmas and fall for a lumberjack or whatever, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very saccharine laced and just happy, happy, happy. But I've been made with darker stuff, and I need to confront that darkness every single year because that's how my life has traditionally been, and I need to actively look for I need that hit of the light in the dark. So
Mm.
I'm drawn to like Nightmare Before Christmas, and again, Violent Night is no more violent than Home Alone or the Nakatomi Die Hard, but it's very, very, it gives you that hit of Christmas joy because there is
Mm-hmm.
Christmas magic, there is Christmas themology in there. Themology,
Themes?
themes. There you go. I made up words.
You
Yeah,
really do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some stuff out there that we and even like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It comes into where there's a lot of funny things, but it stars Chevy Chase, who is an objectively terrible person, and a lot of stuff goes wrong. Cousin Eddie kidnaps a man, kidnaps Bill Murray's brother, but Scrooged. Oh, Scrooged. My third favorite version of Christmas Carol
Oh,
is
okay.
Disney Christmas Carol. But number fourth is Scrooged because Bill Murray really, really brings that redemption arc from a guy who is miserable and alone because he has been hurt by the world. And I really, really relate to Scrooge because, again, with my childhood,
What?
yeah,
You don't seem very humbuggy.
yeah, yeah.
Do
Well,
you have the bah humbug?
frequently. We're doing an episode about Krampus, man.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
this is that, but I feel like I just feel like you're quiet on Christmas, but I have seen so much childlike wonder from you.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing
I
because
didn't know you connected with Scrooge.
when my son is around, yeah, we have the Christmas dragon and we do lots of Christmas oriented stuff. But, generally speaking, Christmas is a time for me to reflect on my childhood. And I didn't have a lot of friends. My best friend was crushed by a tractor when I was 8. So, I mean, that's
What
yeah.
the?
Yeah, he went to his grandparents' farm. Tractor fell over, crushed him, and
And how were you told? Like, did they just
yeah.
expect you to
Oh,
go on?
they had a big thing at school with the guidance counselor and saying, "Oh, by the way,
Oh,
he's dead."
okay.
And like, "Oh my, I didn't like that. That's a thing."
That's terrible.
So yeah, and again, I was a fat autistic kid. I did not have a lot of
Same.
friends. I spent a lot of time in my room playing with my toys, reading my books, watching my shows all by myself. I very much relate to Bill Murray's version of his Scrooge analog, where TV was his thing, and Michael Caine's Scrooge, where he spent his time studying because
Yeah.
he didn't have any friends and his parents were never around. My mom was doped up on Prozac and my dad was cheating on her. So
Hmm.
it was I had
They
to
sound very complimentary. If your
yeah.
husband is cheating on you, might I recommend getting doped up on Prozac if you're
Yeah.
not gonna?
I was the one who put away the Christmas decorations because yeah, one time he invited the mistress over on Christmas, and like yeah, because
that's special.
he was that kind of guy. So
And did your mom know, or did he just
Oh
pretend
no,
she was just like a neighbor?
oh, she knew. She knew. Yeah,
Yeah.
because my father was that kind of a guy. So
Same.
yeah, Christmas was never. It's always one of those things that reminded me that I didn't have what other people had, and
Right, which you're seeing so much of in the media. Like there's all these happy family, even the Cratchits,
yeah.
like Tiny Tim's family. Like even though they have nothing, they're so happy.
They have each other, and that's
They
the
have
thing.
each other. We didn't even have that.
And again, this year I really, really planned to have somebody, but that did not work out. So I will have my son for some days, but again, not for others because it didn't work out with his mother. And yeah, it's going to be one of those things where I am going to be fighting the darker side, and I think that's a big thing for us autistics because a lot of us face these struggles, and especially when it's promoted as everybody's having a great time. Everybody is happy. No, we are fighting our way through the darkness.
Yeah.
We are fighting our way through the winter.
One of the things I loved, I still love this, but especially loved as a kid, undiagnosed and in a very traumatic family structure, was you would get presents. We would get presents on Christmas morning, and I would always get books. Like I remember getting like the Time Life series on,
Oh God,
I don't know, the Occult Time Life series.
Oh, that's a good series.
It's such a good one. And like I would always get a choose your own adventure book, but sometimes I'd get like a whole box set of like 6 choose your own adventure books. And there were many things I could do wrong, like so much small talk I was bad at. And there's a certain way you were supposed to dress and talk and react to presents and everything. But one of the things you were supposed to do is play with your toys on Christmas night. And so what that looked like to me was going in my room, shutting the door, and reading all of the new books I got cover to cover nonstop, which was allowed and acceptable behavior. And my highlight of Christmas was like, I'm finally doing something right. I'm the good girl because I'm playing with my toys the way it was ordained by our family rules.
That's a tradition in Iceland, right? Where you exchange books and chocolate?
I think they have like a book day, yes.
Yeah.
Now, Iceland also has the tradition of the cat. Do you know about
the monster cat. Yeah.
That like eats you if you don't wear new clothes. Christmas Eve, when you do the book exchange, you have to wear new clothes. But if your family was too poor to buy you new clothes, the Yule cat comes in and eats them and you all die.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah, because again, what's a good Christmas story without wanton murder?
Yeah. It's true.
When I was in the middle school and making my kids loved scary stories, so I'd make monster stories for the kids. And I made a story of Santa Claus, where there was this tropical island, and there are these great white adventurers who came to this tropical island, and they noticed that everyone was peaceful. It was a very collectivist society. No one was, wanting for anything. There was no like captains of industry, and of course, these great white adventurers were like, yeah, look at all these jewels around here. We could totally do all this thing with the jewels. And they're like, oh yes, it's almost Christmas, we need to be good. And this creature who is a very large manta ray with like tiger paws and everything came out of the ocean and ate all the bad people and left jewels for the good ones. And that's where if anyone is interested, we'll do a dramatic reading of that one too and throw it in our anthology series, Stories We Tell to Autistic Kids. So.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, I think it is important to have some tools for catharsis.
Yeah.
And that's probably, I went back and rewatched Nightmare Before Christmas, which is really a Halloween movie for those of you taking notes.
According to the makers, it is a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
But your mileage may vary, so.
Yeah. I always thought of it as a Christmas movie until I watched it. And then I had watched it before, but I watched it again. But I'm like, why is Jack Skellington trying to take over Christmas Town? He was so happy in Halloween Town.
Well, I mean, the canonical story is because, Tim Burton thought that Christmas was encroaching on Halloween, so you wanted to see how it worked. And then when they were writing the script, the guy that they hired to write the script, the guy that they also hired for Beetlejuice, did way too much cocaine and couldn't get the script in on time. So Danny Elfman essentially rewrote it himself based on his experiences with Oingo Boingo and transferring from being a pop musician to a film score writer. So canonically, it's about Danny Elfman's struggle to transition between careers because he really wants to write movies, or he really wants to write film scores for movies, but he was very, very good at pop music. So that's the whole struggle there.
Yeah.
And Sally is based directly on the autistic woman that he was dating at the time, because she's the one who actually wrote the movie and didn't get any damn credit. So
no.
yeah. There's a documentary series called "The Movies That Made Us" on Netflix. Watch the Nightmare Before Christmas episode. She is autistic as all get out, and she wrote other movies like Edward Scissorhands.
Oh,
And
did she get credit for that one?
Oh, she did. She did. Well, she
Okay.
eventually got credit for Nightmare Before Christmas, but
Okay,
again,
good.
she was writing it, and Henry Selick tried to change things. The autistic director of Nightmare Before Christmas, and she was like, "Don't change a damn word in my script." And he was like, "All right, I won't." But she lives in a house designed by Walt Disney, and she spends all of her time with horses, and she is a delightful human being. So check that out. Watch an autistic woman at work writing Sally as an autistic character, played by Catherine O'Hara, who was the mom in Home Alone and the mom in Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's all over the place in Christmas and spooky movies. But yeah,
amazing.
Yeah. Amazing also because we went from topic to topic to topic, and that's therefore a pun. So yeah.
You're welcome anytime. Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing about Christmas. It's a bright time in a dark time, and you need to find some way to have that brightness and find some sort of joy in the dark times. And it does us well to remember the ghost stories, to tell the ghost stories, to get a little bit into the darkness, because that's what's around us, and we have to either we're in complete denial about it, or we have to confront it head on.
Yeah. Yes, and that said, I still look at these pictures of Krampus, and they.
Are you looking at the regular Krampus or sexy Krampus?
Not sexy Krampus. I turned all that off. I'm looking at these whip me, beat me parades in Prague and Cologne. Yes. And I do not think I will be attending one of them. Those people look like they're death metal concert goers.
It is metal AF, man.
Yeah. This has been a metal season. So,
yeah. So if my son happened to be born on Krampusnacht, so I collect every version of Krampus merchandise I can find. So this is usually Krampus takes away the bad kids. This time he left a good one. So,
aren't you lucky?
So yeah, that's I encourage you all to if you want to embrace the darker nature of the solstice, find light in the darkness by watching the darkness and enjoying the fact that you're not being chased down by Krampus and kept in a snow globe or beaten with reeds or bird sticks, or that you're not falling off of the Nakatomi Plaza. So,
or having apples thrown at you.
Yeah. There's lots to be thankful for this season, especially not being pelted with apples. So that said, hey, Angela, what was your favorite part about being autistic this week?
Well, it's really this month, but one of the things that is fantastic about being autistic is our ability to have collections. I have some amazing collections, but it is always hard for me to add new ones because I don't have enough space, which is like why our organizational skills are so key.
Oh, yes.
But I, this month, added a new collection I'm very excited to tell you about. I am collecting Christmas markets, specifically European Christmas markets.
Like the little tiny houses, or?
No, this is the experience collection. I am going to as many Christmas markets as I can possibly go to. I have been to London and Bristol, obviously in the UK this year. I've been to Barcelona. I have Geneva on my list and Zermatt in Switzerland. And my plan is over the next few years to get to dozens and dozens of them at each Christmas market. I am getting one small memento that says the name of the market, and I am building a Christmas market wall display that can come out at Christmas time That will be my new Christmas collection. I have stopped my collection of Swarovski ornaments, and it reached its natural conclusion as I left the USA. And I now have my Christmas market, Christmas ornament collection. Very excited to have begun that because it comes with memories of trips to European Christmas markets. So
I like that. That's really cool.
hopefully you and Emmett will be joining me for one soon.
Yeah. We'll have to go on a trip and ride on a train to get there. So it'll be awesome.
There's so many things. Yes. So I also almost, but I did not pull this off, but maybe we can do this together. I feel like in France, like at Euro Disney, first of all, I know there's a bunch of great Christmas markets in France. Haven't been to any yet. But also, I think Euro Disney must do some amazing Christmas market.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Right? So I almost did that. But then it was like $3,000 for the night. And
oh my God.
I thought, well, that is not what I'm going to do. You're going to need to plan that one earlier.
Expensive. Yes.
You're not going to want last minute tickets for Christmas at Euro Disney, it turns out.
Yeah. Playing way ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, that is what I love. My new collection. Collections are the best, but experiences and collections with very small amounts of things are my over 50 favorites. And I do not want a Krampus collection, but I am very grateful to you, Matt, for bringing us this episode and educating me. Thank you, everyone, for listening to episode 91, Krampus is Autistic. You can check out our Christmas special from last year, which is episode 49, for some more Christmas cheer. That is available wherever you get your podcasts, and you'll hear next from us. So you can sort your Christmas toys, girls and boys, with episode 92, which is Autistify Your Organizational Skills. You're going to love what we have to say there. So until then, Matt, I will see you then.
Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Autistic Culture Podcast.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to check out our advocacy episodes every Friday, where we explore important issues and share strategies for living your best, most authentically autistic life.
And for even more autistic culture, consider becoming a paid member for exclusive perks like Q&A calls live with Matt and I, a virtual writing circle, and our new self-defined living course by Becca Laurie Hector.
Fun fact, it costs us about $8 for every minute you hear or see us on the podcast, but our member pricing is just $8 a month. What a bargain! Buy one, get 500 free. Seriously, if you could afford it, we would really appreciate your contribution. It makes this all possible.
And of course, the best way everyone can support what we're doing here is to rate, review, share, and subscribe on Substack or your favorite podcast app.
This is the way.